Greenlight Network presents Football Time.
Hey, and welcome to the Football Time Show. We're here for the Bowl Pick'em Show. It took a little bit to get us to get it out and to sort of figure out who's playing what, but we're here. We're going to do our Bowl Pick'em Show and see if we can pick some of these games with some confidence points, and then we'll probably have our last college football show of the season right before the final, and we'll add them up and we'll see if you, the Dynamite, or I, Champ Chesterfield, can have the most confidence points in our picks this week. But overall, it should be an interesting matchup here. I must say, I wasn't a whole confident in a whole lot of these picks because there's only about 4 games where I know who is definitely playing.
Well, bowl season's always, I mean, I guess it's even more so now with people opting out for pros. It's really just a coin flip, and you don't know. It depends on if they want to be there, if they had a good season and exceeded expectations and they're happy to be in the bowl game, or if they failed expectations on the season and then their bowl game, they a crapshoot. Not my favorite to bet on, but it is fun to pick anyway.
Yeah, I was talking to you a couple weeks ago in the store about, how, early 2000s, probably gambling before I probably should have been gambling, but bowl games were like my favorite thing to bet on. And I think last year I might have bet my lowest total of bowl games I've, ever bet, that I took, any of these games seriously. And, just going through the list, I don't think there were any. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to take this game seriously and be able to put a big wager on it. And I just remember in those really early 2000s where I was confident in a lot of these things and would put massive wagers on them. And now I don't think you can convince yourself to do any of that except for those, 3 playoff games. All right, let's get into it, and let's start out with the bowl that everyone should strive to actually get into. The Bahamas Bowl, Middle Tennessee versus Toledo. Little bit of a disappointing season, I'd say, for Toledo this year, but they come in as the favorites in this one, as 10.5-point favorites. Really shocked at this line because Middle Tennessee, I think, surprised us at how well they played on the season. Pretty solid defense here. Where are you going with the Toledo Rockets versus the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders in the Bahamas Bowl?
I love the points here. I like MTSU. I think their offense is very capable the way they run that fast pace, and they can get a lot of points. So 10.5 here is too good to pass up. I think it could be a close game, but I'm definitely taking the points.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm taking the points here, too, at 10.5. That just, the talent differential is not that great a difference between Toledo and the Blue Raiders. If you watch them play all season long, Middle Tennessee was much more opportunistic on defense. And basically after that Notre Dame games where Toledo probably should have won, they just really went downhill. I mean, they went from MAC favorites to basically a middle-class team in the MAC. So I really like getting 10.5 points here. Pretty much 10.5 points in any bowl game. I pretty much am going to side most likely on the side of, the points on that one. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with Middle Tennessee State. Where did you go confidence points-wise here?
I'm putting 35 points on this one, so that's a lot out of the 43 we're picking. So,
yeah, pretty
high up on my list. I like the 10.5.
Yeah, I was stunned because we were in the same ballpark here because I did 36. So somehow our minds saw this one and thought alike to kick off bowl season. This might be the only one both of us really bet on for the next 2 weeks. So we're both on Middle Tennessee, both really like it high in the confidence points, both really like the 10.5 going there on the underdog. The next one, the Cure Bowl, the MAC champions in Northern Illinois, facing Coastal Carolina, who I don't know if you could say had a disappointing season. I'd never say 10-2 is a disappointing season, but I think a lot of people thought they would go undefeated. Their quarterback got hurt too, which factored a little bit in it. But they are, once again, 10.5-point favorites over Northern Illinois here. I'm leaning Northern Illinois' way. I'm curious how you have yours.
Yeah, this one scares me a little bit. I've been on the losing side of betting at Northern Illinois games more times than I care for this season. They have been very hot and cold. But Coastal Carolina is the much better team here. The spread is what's making me nervous more than anything. But I'm going to take Coastal Carolina minus the 10.5.
Yeah, I'm sort of in between here. I think you mentioned it. Coastal Carolina does have a little bit of a talent difference here between Northern Illinois, but we should probably at some point begin to respect Northern Illinois, though. And, at the beginning of the year, we were all like, will they win one game? Will they win 2 games? They won 9 games and the MAC championship. So, that 10.5, I just don't know what Coastal Carolina is going to come out, and that's why I'm taking the 10.5. I'm not real bullish on it, but I'm just curious if we're getting, let's run up the score, Carolina, or we're getting, this isn't a good season. We're playing a bowl game on December 17th. Let's pack these things up and get out of here and prepare for next season. So I'm taking the 10.5 here. I'm curious where your confidence points lie on this one.
So I'm going. I've got Coastal covering the 10.5, but my confidence points, I'm only putting 5 points on this one. So this one's towards the bottom of my list. Not real high on it, but I think they're going to win.
Yeah, I did not go quite as bullish either. I went 10 points on this one, and that's I would have gone lower, but a lot of these games where I was completely in question mark dark, I had to drop a little bit there. So Northern Illinois plus a 10.5 for me with 10 confidence points. Coastal Carolina with 5 confidence points for you. So one of us can get a little bit of an edge on this game to start it out. All right, we'll go down back into Florida and the Boca Raton Bowl, Western Kentucky, Appalachian State. Appalachian State 3-point favorites here coming off their loss in the Sun Belt Championship. Western Kentucky coming off their loss in the Conference USA Championship. 3 seemed like a little bit of an advanced spread, I'd say, for me, for Appalachian State. I'm curious how you're feeling in this one. You've been a Western Kentucky fan most of this season. They did not end the season quite on the high that I thought they were going to, but they had that middle part after their early tough schedule where they really played well. So where are you sitting on this one?
Yeah, I was back and forth on this one. This is a really hard one for me to pick. I'm going against my heart. I've got App State minus the 3. I just... as much as I love Western Kentucky, I think App State's a more well-rounded team, and themselves quite out of it. And if they do that against an experienced team like App State, they're not going to be able to come back.
Yeah, that's I went the same way as you. I took App State. I know I'm getting good defense from App State for sure. So they probably slow that Western Kentucky offense down, and I'm curious if I'm getting good defense from Western Kentucky. And if App State can get themselves going Russian-wise, sort of make Chase Bryce not have to try to dictate the game, then App State probably wins this. The 3 I was a little bit nervous on, but I just thought overall Appalachian State probably the better team here. But it definitely was a tough game to sort of pick. I don't know if I'll have an actual bet on this game or not, but so I'm going 3 with the App State. You're going 3 with the App State. Where do your confidence points lie on this one?
This one's about middle of the road for me. I've got 18 points on this one.
Yeah, we're in the same wave here. I think we just probably both trust App State, middle of the road, 20 points for me here, just sitting there. They probably are a defensive team who can take over. All right, Celebration Bowl, Deion Sanders Bowl, really, because I think the only reason this is being played is because Deion Sanders is a coach for Jackson State. Jackson State is 10-point favorites here versus South Carolina State. Jackson State, pretty solid season overall. 2 losses, one of those being to UL Monroe. South Carolina State struggled early on in their season and then closed pretty well. Jackson State 10-point favorites here. Which way are you going with this one?
I didn't watch much of either of these teams this year at all, so I'm just going to ride with the favorite and minus the 10 points. But this is lowest on my confidence list. I've got 1 point on this one, as I do not know either way, so I'm going to go with the favorites.
Yeah, I went South Carolina State because of 10 points, and they usually play tight games, even in the ones they've lost, discounting matchups versus Division I teams, but they really closed well, so I think this will just be a tight game. So I'm taking the 10 points, but like you, this was not getting anything over a 1 on the confidence point schedule here. So yeah, we're one of us can gain an advantage, but one of us is not going to gain much of an advantage on this game. Somebody is winning 1 point here in this one. So South Carolina, Jackson State. You have Jackson State minus the 10. I have South Carolina State plus the 10. We'll move on to the New Mexico Bowl. UTEP, Fresno State. One of the biggest spreads on the board here. 11.5 for Fresno State. Fresno State, much better team. UTEP really sort of died out, towards the end of the season there. UTEP does have a new coach coming in. Their quarterback was transferring, but then when Chedford decided to retake over, I guess he's coming back. Theoretically, he's going to play in the bowl game, though there was a 2-week period there where he wasn't technically even with the team. He was going to head up, elsewhere to said Washington to go back and play quarterback there. So, you deal with that, whatever. He is a really good quarterback, so I think the integration will be all right. Where are you going, UTEP, Fresno State, minus the 11.5?
As much as I love my Fresno State Bulldogs, I think just, like you said, all the changes there and UTEP, they've covered a lot of spreads this year. I'm going to take UTEP plus the 11.5. I think that's too many points there.
Yeah, we're on the same wavelength here. I think this is, I think all those guys enter in the transfer portal for Fresno, and then, once they hired Tedford, a handful of them coming back. I think that sort of told you where Fresno State's head was at. We talked about disappointing seasons. I don't think you're ever disappointed at 9-3, but I think they thought they were going to win the Mountain West this year, and they were contenders, but they weren't really, really contenders. They just, lost a couple of those games that they should have won, that should have put them in the contender category. So I think overall, a lost season. It'll be interesting going into next year with Tedford retaking back over Fresno State, Heener coming back to see what they could do. But I think this season, 11.5 points, too much, even for a UTEP team who sort of closed the season poorly. They don't get to go to a bowl game all that often, so they might be a little bit more poised to want to be there than Fresno State. So confidence-wise, where are you going with this one?
I've got it at 19 on my list, 19 points.
All right. Well, we vary differently on this one. I got it as a 2.
Ooh.
So I have it down there because I will say the talent differential between Fresno State and UTEP was quite grand. So while I don't think Fresno State will come in there focused, if they do come in there focused, this is going to be a blowout. So I just put it really, really low. All right, next up, the BYU Bowl, the Independence Bowl, UAB versus BYU, -7 for BYU here on this one. BYU closed the season out, only 2 losses on the year, 10-2, with wins over Utah and Arizona State. Pretty good season for BYU here. UAB, season that they always have. Solid season, 8-4. Probably would have liked to have been, Conference USA champions, but they just lost out to UT San Antonio in that final game there to get into the championship. But, UAB just churns out, 8 to 10 win season pretty easily here. But, I don't know how you feel on this one, but the talent differential in this one, I think is really, really vast, giant gap between UAB and BYU talent-wise. This is one of those where I am leaning more on the spread on the bigger side of things. I'm curious where you are on this one.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've got BYU minus the 7 here. I think they're going to win this one big. This is a really solid BYU team, and actually, you said UAB's kind of typically what they are. I think they were a little disappointed this year with their performance, and I think BYU is going to handle their business in this bowl game.
Yeah, me too. And BYU is actually one of those who you don't usually have to worry about being focused in bowl games. They usually come out and play their bowl games pretty tough and tight. So they're usually there ready to win their bowl game. So BYU minus 7 for me. Where are you going on the confidence scale in this one?
I've got this one pretty high. I've got 34 points on this one.
Yeah, I got this one pretty high too. It's 41 for me. So
Yeah.
we got a really, really big one early on in this one. I just think BYU's talent way outweighs UAB's on this one. All right, next up, the Lending Tree Bowl, big time bowl game here. Eastern Michigan versus Liberty. I must say, I was a little stunned at this line, and basically I could say I've been stunned at lines that Liberty has gotten the whole last half of the college football season. But Liberty's 9-point favorites here. I know Eastern Michigan didn't close the season great, but how did Liberty close the season? I thought it was pretty awful. I know me and you both made a nice bit of money going against Liberty there to close the season, but Liberty 9-point favorites. Where are you sitting on this one?
Oh, I love Eastern Michigan getting the 9 here. I think they've had some games where they performed really well this year, and Liberty has not been impressive in most of their games this season. And like you said, they keep getting these large spreads for whatever reason, but I'm going to take the 9 points here.
Yeah, I'm going with the 9 points here as well. Maybe Liberty can score a little bit more points than they have, closing out versus Army and Lafayette and Ole Miss, but I don't know if they could stop Eastern Michigan's offense. So 9 points just seems crazy to me in a game that'll probably be, one of those that is won right there at the end. I will say, big ups to Malik Willis, who probably is going to end up being a first-round NFL draft pick. He's going to play in this game, and there's basically no reason for him to play in this Lending Tree Bowl game versus Eastern Michigan. But so to do that and play in this game, at least you got to give him a little bit of a nod with the way people have been pulling out of bowl games there. But I think the -9, just way too many points for me. I think Eastern Michigan can definitely hang with Liberty, especially as we, watched them close out the season really poor there. So what do you have confident point-wise here?
I'm going out on a limb on this one. This is my highest confident pick, points-wise. I've got this at 43 points. So.
Oh, my, the number one. Going with Eastern Michigan. Chop that granite, baby. I'm midway on this one. I got 19 confidence points on Eastern Michigan here. So, but big one for you, Eastern Michigan Liberty. Someone's going to be tuned into the Liberty Bowl or the Lending Tree Bowl, and it will be Dynamite David. All right, let's move on to the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. The bowl, vast and deep tradition in history, the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. I will say, of the matchups on here, I liked the matchup. So Utah State versus Oregon State. Utah State, another one of those teams who had a pretty, overall surprising rise in the Mountain West here, played really good football. Oregon State, bowl eligible for the first time since I think about 2007. Closed out the season, with a tough loss versus Oregon, but, really good season overall for Jonathan Smith in Oregon State, and a great season for Utah State all the way into the Mountain West Championship game before getting beat up pretty good by San Diego State. Oregon State is 7-point favorites here. Where are you going with this one?
Yeah, these are two teams that both impressed me this year, but I'm going to have to take Utah State in the 7 points. I think this is going to be a really close game, but when you're getting a touchdown in a game that you think is going to be, could go either way, you got to take the 7 points. So I'm going to take Utah State here, as much as I hate to go against a team that I enjoyed watching, especially down the end stretch there in Oregon State. I'm taking the 7, Utah State.
Yeah, I'm going with Oregon State here just because they haven't been in a bowl game in a while. I know Utah State's been great all year, but with that matchup with San Diego State, they sort of got blown out there. They couldn't contain their offense, so I don't know if they'll be able to contain the Oregon State, offense all that much. So I'm riding the 7 here pretty big on this one. This is one of my big ones. So where are you going confident-wise on Utah State?
This is not very high for me. I've got it at 6 points. So.
Yeah, I got Oregon State on the 40 line here. So I'm riding the Beavers into this is one of those where we roll them over into a bid next year in the Pac-12 and make them Pac-12 contenders next year. I don't know if that'll quite happen, but there's a lot of coaching changes going down in the Pac-12, so you can mark it down on our Pac-12 preview show in 8 months that is coming. I'm riding Oregon State in that Pac-12 North. All right, let's go to the New Orleans Bowl, and they might as well just call this the Lafayette Bowl because I think they've been in it for the past 15 years. But Louisiana Lafayette, I was a little disappointed that they didn't get a little bit better matchup here, at least, play some team that was. But Louisiana Lafayette versus Marshall, Louisiana Lafayette 5.5-point favorites here. Where are you going with this one?
Despite losing their head coach, I'm going with Louisiana minus the 5.5. Marshall's been highly disappointing this season. I've lost a few bets on them, and Louisiana is just the more talented team. As long as they show up, they should be able to cover this spread.
Yeah, I went the other way just because I do think, one, I mentioned it, they've been in this bowl game legit almost every year for a very long time. So I think it's probably run its course a little bit. Their coach leaving, everything new, sort of churning around. I think they'll win, but I think this will be, one of those where they sort of just win it there a little bit at the end, and Marshall sort of hangs with them a little bit. But you mentioned it, Marshall been really, really disappointing, to close out the season. Getting beat by UAB, getting murdered by Western Kentucky there to, sort of play for the championship game, and overall, just not as good a season as I think we both thought they would have. But I'm going to take the 5.5 in this one. But where are you going confidence-wise here in the New Orleans Bowl?
Middle for me. I've got 20 points on this one.
Yeah, I got 24 points on this one. It just sort of sits on the right there, a little bit over the middle tier, but not really anything I'm fully aggressive on. All right, next up, the Myrtle Beach Bowl. And if anyone is at this game, I will be stunned. Stunned. Old Dominion versus Tulsa. Somehow Tulsa is a 9.5-point favorite. I think we've been laughing at Tulsa lines all year long because somehow they have been favored in pretty much every game that they weren't playing Ohio State and other such teams. And I think the only games they covered were those versus Ohio State and Oklahoma because they pretty much got murdered by everyone else. But anyway, Tulsa 9.5. Where are you going overall on this one?
I'm taking the points in Old Dominion. I think they're scrappy enough to maybe keep this within 9.5. Yeah,
I'm going points too on Old Dominion here. They really closed the season really, really well. So I think that's big. I think them going to a bowl game is big. They aren't one of those who, is routinely in bowl games, and Tulsa usually is in a bowl game. But, overall, they haven't been a good team. Yeah, they closed with a nice win over SMU, but SMU, Sonny Dykes had already, abandoned them for TCU at that point. And, and then the other win to close out the season versus Temple, we've all watched Temple play there, but, I just think Old Dominion, be there, will play hard, can stay within those 9 points there. So where are you going overall in your confidence points on the Myrtle Beach Bowl?
I've got 21 on this one.
Yeah, I went a little lower just because I can pretty much guarantee I will not be watching this game at 14. So I had no interest in this one, really. But I'm curious, is the Dynamite going to tune in for Old Dominion Tulsa? It's probably on some random Wednesday as well.
As long as there's no competition on, I mean, and I'm home, it's football.
It's guys wearing helmets. I agree.
In 4 months, we'll be desperate for any football we can get. So,
all right, famous Idaho Potato Bowl, Kent State versus Wyoming. Wyoming is 3-point favorites. Did not close the season well, somehow losing at home to Hawaii. But Kent State played up in the MAC championship game, got beat up pretty good by Northern Illinois, but closed out the season before that pretty well. Where are you sitting on this one, Wyoming versus Kent State?
I like Kent State's offense here. I think they're going to be able to score more points than Wyoming, who's been really inconsistent at times. So I'm going to take Kent State plus the 3 here.
All right, this will be a fun one because I'm really riding Wyoming here. I just think they're a better team. I think they'll beat them up pretty good. Also, I'm not sure it's quite the reward to go up to Boise if you're in Kent, Ohio. Somehow you're going from colder to colder, windier to windier, and crappier to crappier.
To Boise.
Yeah, but Wyoming's used to it. So they're just like, whatever. Another day, another dollar. Kent State's arguing why Toledo is in the Bahamas and we're up in Boise. I'm going to ride Wyoming once again to take over there, even with a disappointment towards Hawaii. They did, for some reason, the game before that, they went to Utah State and annihilated them. So, explaining the last 2 weeks of the college football season, who knows? Go to Utah State, murder them, come back home to having Hawaii come to you in Laramie and lose by 30 points. Who knows? But we'll see what Wyoming shows up. But I got the -3 here. I got really high confidence points on this one. I'm 39 on Wyoming here. Where are you sitting with Kent State?
We're both confident in our picks here, but we're going against each other. I've got 33 points on Kent State.
This is actually this is going to be this one's going to be a true showdown here to see who probably comes out on top overall, because this will be a big swing game. The next one up, I don't know if it'll be a swing game or not, but the Frisco Bowl, UT San Antonio, Conference USA champions versus the Mountain West champions in San Diego State. UT San Antonio, 2.5-point favorites here. Which way are you going in this one?
This one, my heart may burn me a little bit. I'm going UTSA minus the 2.5. They may be in a completely different league than San Diego State, but I'm gonna ride them despite them sputtering out a little bit at the end of the season. I'm going to take UTSA minus the 2.5.
Yeah, I just I can't go there. I love UT San Antonio. I grabbed them in that Western Kentucky game. I read it right in that North Texas game, I will say. But I just don't think they have the talent to, match up with San Diego State here. I think this will be probably one of those that'll probably be a blowout. But I will say this, UT San Antonio, never in a bowl game. And San Diego State is in basically one of these type bowl games every year. So if you're going motivation factor, UT San Antonio really would be the one to ride. But I'm just going on, talent for talent. San Diego State much, much better there. So where are you going confidence-wise in this one?
I've got 22 points on this, so about middle of the road for me.
Yeah, I got 38 on it for San Diego State here. Ooh. So another good one for us to match up against. All right, let's get into the Armed Forces Bowl. Missouri versus Army. Army, 3.5-point favorites. Where are you going here with Army? I think this was probably one of both of our betting favorites all year long.
Yeah, despite their terrible performance in the Army-Navy game, I'm going to go with Army here, minus the 3.5. I think they played really well year-round, and that Army-Navy rivalry is just you can't compare that to the rest of the season or any other game. The motivation, and that's something that's not in any other football game. But Army does, and they can't. So I'm going to go with Army minus the 3.5.
Yeah, you look at the breakdown here, and Army should probably rush for 2,000 yards in this game. But I'm going to take Mizzou just based on the fact that they have a month to prepare for the option. So I'm hoping that in a month they can at least somewhat discipline out themselves to be able to slow down the option attack. I know that's asking a lot, but I think that'll happen, and I think Army's defense, might struggle a little bit to contain Missouri's offense. So I'm going to ride Mizzou here, getting the points. And then if Army just runs all over him, I'll understand that Missouri has no coaching staff that I trust in, which pretty much is already the case. So I'm going Mizzou here plus the 3.5. Where are you going confidence-wise in this one?
I got 23 points on this one.
I got 37 on the Missouri Tigers here. So it's a good little stretch here for us that will pretty much determine where we're going to be. All right, the Frisco Football Classic, North Texas versus Miami, Ohio. My North Texas closing the season strong and really was probably the best team in Conference USA as it ended, there. But sadly, we have to play 4 months of the season instead of the last month of the season. But overall, North Texas going in hot. Miami of Ohio going in sort of hot and cold. They win one, they lose one. Sort of depends which Miami of Ohio you get there. So where are you going in this game here? Miami of Ohio is 3-point favorites in this one. Where are you going?
I'm taking Miami minus the 3 here. Not highly confident in this one. I think it could really go either way. But I just been a little bit more impressed with Miami this year.
Well, that's because you have totally ignored my North Texas, the Mean Green, and I'm riding the North Texas Mean Green 4-3 to close out this year. And once again, I can give you insight into next season's preview. North Texas might be a Conference USA title pick for me. So in 8 months on the preview show, be prepared for me to be heavy. North Texas, but I'm going North Texas here. Where are you going confidence-wise points in this one?
I've just got 7 points on this one.
I got 30 on the Mean Green of North Texas. Wow. So I got a big one here. All right, the Gasparilla Bowl. This probably should be called the Transfer Portal Bowl, but overall, Central Florida versus Florida. I'm not 100% sure what actual players from the season are going to be playing in this game. Somehow they made a line of 6.5. Which way are you going here?
As I don't know really how this game is going to go, I'm going to take the 6.5 points and UCF.
I'm just going with the 6.5 points on Florida. Honestly, I have no idea. I don't know who's playing for Central Florida. I don't know who's playing for Florida. I'm not 100% sure who's even coaching Florida in this game. But I think the talent may be better at Florida unless they're starting to pull students out to fill roster spots. But I think Central Florida might be pulling students out to fill roster spots as well. So, yeah, I just went Florida here, but I have no real analysis for it because I have no clue who's playing and who wants to even play in the Gasparilla Bowl here. But where are you going confidence-wise?
I've got 24 on this one.
You got 24 on this one. I have 18 on this one. So a fun swing game that we'll be interested to see how that one breaks down. Next up, the Hawaii Bowl. Memphis goes to Hawaii. Hawaii, had some turmoil there at the end of the season, though they still ended up going to Laramie and winning. I think a couple guys are transferring out of there, but Memphis is 7.5-point favorites in this one. Where are you going in the Memphis-Hawaii matchup?
I think Memphis is going to win this one big. I think talent, and they're just going to outclass Hawaii. Now, if they can get over the long road trip and not get soaked up in too much of the festivities and focus on football, but I'm going to take Memphis minus 7.5. Yeah,
well, my play is Memphis leaves the city of Memphis and enjoys the city of Oahu and soaks up their time in the sun here, which is basically what happens in this game every year. And then the team magically gets off to a slow start in the first half. And then by the fourth quarter, they're having to, start making their comeback, which is what I think will happen in this one. I think Memphis wins this game, especially with the transfers out of Hawaii. But I thought 7.5 was a little too many points here, especially once those people out of Memphis start soaking up the rays and the cocktails on the beach here in the sun. So I'm going Hawaii. Where are you going confidence-wise in this one?
This one's pretty high for me. I've got 39 points on Memphis.
Oh, my. I'm going 13 on Hawaii. So I'm on the downslope of high pointers here. Next up, what?
Are we on like a run of like 8 games straight where we've picked opposite teams?
I think we are. We're on a big run here. So from December 18th to 24th, we'll basically decide our bowl pick'em show. All right, Camilla Bowl, Georgia State versus Ball State. Georgia State 4.5-point favorites here. Interesting bowl game. Georgia State was really playing well down the stretch. Ball State, like every MAC team, was sort of win one, lose one, win one, lose one. Where are you going in this game?
I'm going to go with Ball State plus the 4.5. I watched them a little bit more this year, so I'm going to go with them.
Yeah, I'm going with Georgia State, so our run continues. I'm going Georgia State minus the 4.5 here. They really closed out the season well. If you watched them in the Sun Belt, they were probably just better than Coastal Carolina there, and were really playing well to close out the season. So I'm going 4.5 for Georgia State. What's your confidence points in this one?
Oh, gosh, I just lost it. I have 8 points on this one.
8 points. So we're both on the lower end on this one. I'm on the 17 points on this one. So we're both on the lower end of the Camilla Bowl. The Quick Lane Bowl. Western Michigan really disappointed after their big win versus Pittsburgh, versus Nevada, whose coach abandoned them basically for a team in the same conference. I'm not quite sure how that was an upgrade. That probably is something into our preview show next year, but why you leave Nevada for Colorado State, I don't know. But Western Michigan, 3-point favorites here. Which way are you going?
I'm hoping everybody plays, but I'm going with Nevada plus the 3 here.
Yeah, that was my only concern, is how many people were playing for Nevada. But even if the good players for Nevada, I still think they're a better team than Western Michigan, especially from what we've seen. So I'm going Nevada plus the 3 as well. Where are you going confidence-wise in this one?
I've got 32 points on this one, so pretty high up on this.
Our streak has been broken because we're both got Nevada. I got 35 on this one, so we're both pretty high on this one. Next up, the Military Bowl, Boston College versus Eastern Carolina. Boston College 3-point favorites here. Good news for BC is Jerkovic is going to come back and play quarterback for them next year. I really thought he was playing well till he, broke his hand there about 4 weeks into the season. Basically, I thought if there was an NFL prospect quarterback that we saw this year, it was probably him before he broke his hand. So it'll be interesting to see what he does coming back. But where are you going? Eastern Carolina closed out the season pretty good up until that Cincinnati game where they got beat up pretty nicely.
Yeah, for the reasons you said, with Jerkovic, I like Boston College. I've got them minus the 3. I think he's a big difference maker on this team, and they're going to be getting a big win in this bowl game.
Yeah, me too. I'm pretty heavy on Boston College here. I think they'll blow Eastern Carolina out. So where are you going confidence-wise on this one?
I've got 36 points on this one.
Yeah, I got 34. So people, put your money down. Boston College in the Military Bowl. All right, next up, I think this is exactly where Auburn wants to be every year, the Birmingham Bowl. Houston versus Auburn. Auburn is a 3-point favorite here. Which way are you going on this one?
Yeah, I went back and forth on this one quite a few times, so it's pretty low on my confidence, but I'm just going to go with the talent. I'm going to go with Auburn minus the 3, and I just can't stand Dana Holgerson, so I'm going to go Auburn minus the 3.
Yeah, you must be reading my playbook because I very badly want to take Houston here. But I can't. And with that spread only being 3, I think if it got up to about 6, I could talk myself into Houston. But I just feel like Houston's going to be bad here. I don't know what Auburn's going to show up. I don't even know if they have any players who are going to play in this game. But overall, yeah, I think Auburn's a play here. Where are you going confidence-wise?
I've got this pretty low. Like I said, I'm not too sure on this one. I've got 4 points on this one.
Yeah, see, I had to go the other way. I used up one of my bigs. I got 33 on this one. Ooh. I just went talent-wise. I thought Auburn was better. I know I'm going to regret it when I watch them sleepwalk out there in zombie mode, but I just figured as some of these ones that are below it, I just couldn't put a good number on. All right, the First Responders Bowl. This one's interesting. I think this is actually one of the bowl games I'm interested to watch. Air Force, who had a really, really good year, and just sad they didn't make their way into that Mountain West Championship game as good a year as they had, versus Louisville, who started to close out the season well and then didn't close out the season well. So it's always sort of start, stop for Louisville. They're 1.5-point favorites in this Air Force game. Where are you going here?
I just think the offensive potential for Louisville is much higher than Air Force. So I'm going to take Louisville minus the 1.5 here.
Yeah, we're on the same wavelength. I'm using much the same, logic as Missouri here. With a month to prepare for the option, they at least should be somewhat, ready for it and prepared for it. And then I think the offensive potential of Louisville should be able to score points on the Air Force defense. But, every time me and you seem to count on Louisville, we become highly disappointed. So that's always going to be fun. So where are you going confidence-wise here on the cards?
I got 41 points on this one.
Oh, my, big one on this one. I got 23 on this one because I'm hedging my Louisville disappointment bet as they throw out a complete dud and can't figure out the option. All right, next up, the Liberty Bowl, Mississippi State versus Texas Tech. Mississippi State, big favorite here, 8.5 points. I don't think this is a question of probably who's going to win this game because Mississippi State's much, much more talented than Texas Tech. It's probably can they cover that 8.5. So where are you going on this one?
I'm going to take Mississippi State and the big favorites minus the 8.5.
Yeah, I just... There's no way I could take Texas Tech in that 8.5. It probably wasn't enough. I think if it got to about 10, I could start thinking in my head. But Mississippi State's defense just going to be able to shut down Texas Tech's passing game, and then overall they should be able to throw all over Texas Tech. So yeah, I'm going Mississippi State here as well. Where are you going confidence-wise? I'm curious about this one.
I don't have this very high. I probably should have had it a little bit higher. I've just got 9 points on this one just because the spread's so large.
Yeah, we were on the same wavelength on that. I'm at 11 because it's just I don't like having bowl game teams with like over touchdown spreads because there's just no way to really gauge that. And even if it's a blowout, then the team that's blowing out starts pulling their guys, and the other team just goes after cheap yards and touchdowns there. Next up, the Holiday Bowl. This one's an interesting one. This is my big one. So UCLA versus NC State here. NC State 1.5 point favorites. Where are you going on UCLA NC State?
I'm taking UCLA plus the 1.5. Just a much better team here, better coached. I think they're going to win.
Yeah, I was stunned that NC State was a favorite here. I mean, the ACC was really, really poor this year. I thought the Pac-12, while, it didn't look loaded, I thought there were good teams in there. UCLA's a good team. Oregon's a good team. Utah's a good team. Arizona State, on the right night of the moon can be a good team. I thought there was some depth there in the Pac-12. I don't think there was any in the ACC, and I think UCLA's much better team here. So where are you going confidence-wise on this one?
I've got 17 points on this one.
Yeah, I went big. This was my number one play here. So I went 43 on UCLA. So we'll see if Chip Kelly can get these guys going and rolling in this game versus NC State. All right. This next game, I don't know if there'll be a ton of points scored. It probably will be one of the most boring ones to watch. But the guaranteed rate bowl, West Virginia, Minnesota. Minnesota, 3.5 point favorites. West Virginia, a favorite gambling of one of ours all year long for good and bad. Where are you going here at Minnesota 3.5 point favorites?
Yeah, I'm looking for it on my list here. Uh,
I'm going.
okay. I'm half. Not very confident in this one. It was towards the bottom of my list. Flip a coin in this one.
Yeah, see, I got a little bit more confidence here in West Virginia getting points here. I think their defense will be able to slow Minnesota down, and Minnesota's defense has been pretty, hot and cold all year long. So the terrible offense of West Virginia giving the other team points might not come into play as much. So I like West Virginia here plus the 3.5 versus Minnesota to cover this line. Getting points is where I like West Virginia to be. So West Virginia for me in this one. Where are you going confidence-wise?
I've got 3 points on this one.
Oh, this really is one of your duds. Wow, I know who is not watching the guaranteed rate poll here. Anyway, I went 29 on West Virginia, so we definitely vary on this one. 3 point confidence on West Virginia, Minnesota. So interesting matchup here. Fenway Bowl, SMU versus Virginia. I think this one actually is a little bit of an interesting matchup. Sonny Dykes is gone, but Bronco Mendenhall retired, so I don't know if that affects Virginia or not. He basically got Virginia back from the death of Mike London, who was coaching them before. So brought them back to relevance. Their offense was really, really good all year long. I think that quarterback will be an NFL prospect, next year if he sticks around. So interesting game here. Virginia 2.5 point favorites. Where are you going in this one?
I'm taking SMU plus the 2.5.
Oh my! Here. Wow, you do think the Bronco change will affect them? I'm going that it doesn't, because the offensive coordinator that was there is really, really good. So I think they'll be okay offensive wise. I think Sonny Dykes leaving SMU probably plays a little bit bigger factor. So I'm going 2.5 with Virginia in this one. So. We disagree on one for after a nice run of agreement. So where are you going confidence-wise on this one?
I've got 16 points on this one.
I got 22 on this one. So that'll be a fun little matchup that we'll have there. The next one up is, yes, these teams did qualify for a bowl game, or what is known as the Pinstripe Bowl. Maryland and Virginia Tech, yes, are playing bowl games. Why? I don't know. Who's watching this? I really don't know. And who is going to attend this? I extremely don't know. But I'm going to leave it to you to handicap Maryland versus Virginia Tech here.
I'm just going to go with Virginia Tech plus the 1 here. Just probably a little bit better defensively. That's the only thing I've got to go on right here.
Yeah, that was my logic. Virginia Tech, little bit better defensively. Maryland seems to throw games away, turnover-wise. But these two teams are really, really bad. I couldn't even remember them winning games in the last 2 months of the season. So I'm assuming they did. But it seemed like every time I bet on them, I didn't win a bet. So, where are you going confidence-wise in this one?
I've got 25 points on Virginia Tech.
Oh, look at you. Bold. I went 3 in this game. This was not a game I was going to be bullish on one way or the other. Next up, Cheez-It Bowl, Clemson, Iowa State. Iowa State, the favorite at 1.5 here. Clemson basically finally lost all their coordinators who have been around since basically Dabo took over. They got to replace all those guys, but Where are you going, Clemson, Iowa State? This probably is more likely the all-disappointing season bowl game than the Cheez-It Bowl. But either way, where are you going in this one?
I like Clemson plus the 1.5. I think they started to pick up a little bit of momentum towards the second half of the season. Even without their coordinators, I think they're a better team than Iowa State. So I like Clemson.
Yeah, plus 1.5 for me with Clemson as well. I think if Clemson had gotten to play, Pittsburgh, NC State, a couple of those other teams in that last month of the season, I think we would have had Clemson as the ACC champs. That last couple weeks, they started to finally really, really look like Clemson. Iowa State looked crappy pretty much all year long. There was no spike of good play there. So I'm really riding Clemson in this one. Where are you going confidence points-wise?
I've got 26 points on this one.
I got 32 on Clemson in this one, so we're both pretty bullish on this one. Next up, the Alamo Bowl, Oregon, Oklahoma. This probably should be like the Scorn Team Bowl, as both coaches decided to pack up shop in the depths of midnight and run off to, well, at least one was the other's alma mater that he won 2 national championships with, Lincoln. Sun and fun, I guess, at USC. But Oregon, Oklahoma 4.5-point favorites. Where are you leaning on this one?
Well, like you said, both coaches are gone, so I'm not going to factor that into my pick here. I'm going to look at what they did during the regular season, and I've got to go with Oregon plus the 4.5 here.
Yeah, I'm with you. Oregon played better the whole regular season here, so them getting points, I'm riding Oregon here. I think Oklahoma's a little bit more in chaos than Oregon is. I think Oregon pretty much sort of always knew Cristobal going to Miami was always going to be probably a pathway there, even when it, 3 years ago when his name was, brought up for the Miami job. So I'm going Oregon here. Where are you going confidence points wise?
I've got this one really high. I've got 37 points on Oregon.
Ooh, nice. I'm right in the middle on this one. I got 21 points on this one confidence wise. So the Duke's Bowl sits in Carolina, and it's the Carolinas playing. North Carolina versus South Carolina. North Carolina is, for some reason, 7.5 points favorites over someone. Why? Who knows? But where are you going, North Carolina, South Carolina here?
I think South Carolina, while they had a good season, better than what everybody thought they were going to do. I think they took advantage of some situations where teams had given up on the year and quit. I saw this South Carolina team almost they had to come back and beat Vanderbilt. So for that reason, I'm going to go with the offensive firepower of North Carolina and minus the 7.5.
Are they going to be showing up for this bowl game? Because I'm going the other side. I'm riding South Carolina here because I think they're going to take advantage of another team that has decided to sort of pack in the season. So 7.5 seemed like a bit too much for me. So I'm going to ride South Carolina in this one. So where are you going confidence points-wise in this one?
I've got 15 points on this one.
Yeah, you aren't that sold on the North Carolina offense too much. I got 28 on South Carolina here. I think they're that weird team that takes advantage of situations that fall to them, and I think this is another situation that's falling to them. All right, the Music City Bowl, Tennessee versus Purdue. Purdue's already decided to bail out on this one, collect their check and go home. Tennessee's 4-point favorites. Where are you leaning on this one?
Yeah, I'm going pure motivation factor here. Tennessee, this is one of, much improved over last year, had a good season. Purdue, 2 of their best players have already opted out for this one. I know Tennessee's had Alontae Taylor opt out, but I'm not sure of any others. So I'm going to go with the Vols minus the 4 here. Yeah,
I got Vols minus 4 in this one as well. I thought they were better even before Purdue's best players started opting out. And once that sort of happened, I think that tilted it pretty hard towards Tennessee's favor. So where are you going confidence points-wise in this one?
I've got 40 points on the Vols.
I got 31 points on the Vols here as well. All right, we're going to start getting into a little bit of the really big games here. if you've noticed, a lot of my low totals have not been used yet, so that should probably tell you where I am sitting in the big game matchups. But let's start out with the Peach Bowl, Pittsburgh versus Michigan State. The Are We Sure They're Good bowl game. But both get a nice little bowl game here. Michigan State 1.5 point favorites. What are you sitting on this one?
Well, I believe that both of these teams have had their best players opt out for this game. So there's really no telling where this is going to go. I'm going to go with the coaching and defense in Michigan State minus the 1.5.
Yeah, I went Pitt plus the 1.5, basically because I assume they could throw on Michigan State. But with basically every good player on both teams not playing, I don't quite know how to handicap this game. So I threw a dart at a board and hoped Pitt's passing offense could shred Michigan State's poor pass defense. Was about the only analysis I could give. So that's that. Where are you going confidence points wise?
This is my number 2 pick, so I've got 2 points on this one.
I got 27 on this one, so well, I didn't have much choice. You have to put numbers somewhere. I won't be betting on this one, just so everyone's aware. Las Vegas Bowl, Wisconsin, Arizona State. Wisconsin 7-point favorites here. Which way are you leaning in this one?
I'm going to take Wisconsin minus the 7.5. Arizona State is way too inconsistent. I think their coaching situation is going to be a little interesting over the next year or two. So I'm going to go with Wisconsin minus the 7.
I like how you use Arizona State as way too inconsistent, and then you take Wisconsin, who I think borders in the same inconsistent realm as Arizona State. I went the other way, which is I think both our analysis, we're just guessing which one of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde shows up on either side. I'm going with Dr. Jekyll showing up for Arizona State here and pulling this one out. But I'm well aware it could be 30-0, but I think it could be 30-0 either side.
You could throw out analysis on most of these games because just handicapping these games is about right impossible.
Yeah. So where are you going confidence-wise in Wisconsin? I should probably say they're both teams are going to be in Las Vegas as well. So teams who have been poorly disciplined all year long now sit in Las Vegas. So
this may be one where you would benefit from flying in game day.
Yes.
And going straight to the stadium.
I'm not ruling out both teams sitting in some public Vegas pool and getting a COVID infection throughout both teams and the game being canceled either. So maybe I can put confidence points on that one as well.
I've got 14 points on Wisconsin here.
Yeah, I got 12. So we both, I think we're reading the tea leaves on this one. I think this one had a huge black Sharpie marked right through it on betting day. Like, no. All right, Gator Bowl. Wake Forest versus Texas A&M. Wake, a great season. Texas A&M, a disappointing season. A&M 5-point favorites here. Which way are you going?
I'm going to go with Texas A&M minus the 5. I just think defensively they could create some problems for Wake Forest. And, a lot of people came calling for Jimbo Fisher, and he stuck true to Texas A&M. So I think there's some consistency there, and the team's going to rally behind that loyalty, I think.
Yeah. Texas A&M's a much better team here with much better players. As much as my heart desires Wake Forest to go in there and light them up, which would be possibly the greatest thing ever, I don't think it's going to happen. So I took A&M. And where are you going confidence points wise?
I've got 13 points on this one.
I got 42 on A&M. So I think they're going to trash them. But I am willing to eat the loss and the 42 points if Wake Forest can go up there and throw a 50 up on them and eat them alive. So, all right, next up, the Sun Bowl. This probably should just be renamed the Miami Hurricanes bowl game of disappointment. Washington State versus Miami. Miami's 3-point favorites here. Which way are you leaning on this one?
Oh, gosh. I've got
There
fun.
will be a ton of points scored in this game, by the way. So anyone looking for other bets, the over would probably be the lean here.
I'm going with Washington State here. I think they've actually played some decent football in a lot of games this year, and them getting points against a Miami team that's been highly disappointing and coaching turnover. So I'm going Washington State plus the 2.5.
Yeah, I'm just riding Miami here because I think they could score. This is going to be a shootout game, so it's probably last team to get the ball wins it. So I'm just riding Miami because I think their offense is a little bit better, but I'm not a huge believer in either running away with this game. This is definitely going to be a shootout. So where are you going confidence-wise in this one?
I like Washington State. I've got 42 points.
Oh,
of
my.
confidence.
You got 42 points on Washington State in the Sun Bowl. I think we're going to be rethinking our life choices at some point here. All right, next up, Arizona
I guess
Bowl.
that means I have to watch that game.
Yes, it probably does. Especially since it's towards the end, so we might be neck and neck point total wise right there. Arizona Bowl, Central Michigan versus Boise State. Boise State 8.5-point favorites. Central Michigan, I thought, played pretty well during the MAC season, but not quite enough to get into that MAC championship game. I just think Boise State probably has, just the better talent here. But that 8.5 number scares me, but I can't talk myself into Central Michigan.
Yeah, I think this is a different class of football here. And even though it's 8.5, Boise State's going to win this one big.
Yeah, I didn't want to grab the number at 8.5 because I don't know Boise State's motivation either. They play big-time football games. So going to the Arizona Bowl and playing Central Michigan, I'm wondering what that motivation really is like, other than they do at least get out of Boise and get to some warm weather. So that'll be a bonus. So where are you going confidence-wise in this one?
I've got 11 points on Boise State here.
Yeah, I got 7 on Boise here in this one. All right, the big one, Cotton Bowl, Cincinnati versus Alabama, the first of the semifinal playoff games. Bama 13.5-point favorites. This should be interesting. What Bama shows up, I think really, really will determine it here. But 13.5 points, big spread for a semifinal. Where are you leaning here?
I'm going to have to go with Bama minus the 13.5 here. I just think they're going to bully Cincinnati and prove that Cincinnati really doesn't belong in the top 4.
Yeah, I'm interested in this one because I do think Cincinnati's defense can contain Alabama's offense a little bit here. I think they won't be pushed around like people think. My question goes more towards the other side of the ball. Can Cincinnati's offense, grind enough points out to keep this game close and, turnovers? That'll be the big thing in this game. Can they keep from turning the ball over and giving Alabama free points? But I thought 13.5 was a bit too much. I didn't like being taxed just because Alabama beat Georgia the week before, and we're getting screwed over because of that line, because I don't think it would have been 13.5 2 weeks ago with Alabama barely beating Auburn, and then they beat Georgia, and this number probably jumps by about 6 points. So that peeves me off a little bit. But I'm taking Cincinnati to cover that 13.5 point on this one. Where are you going confident point-wise in this?
I've got a lot of points on Bama. I've got 38 points on Alabama here.
Yeah, I went really low. I only went 4. Basically, any of these playoff games, I went pretty low on overall. Next one, the second semifinal, the Orange Bowl, Georgia versus Michigan. Georgia 7.5-point favorites in this one. This one should be interesting. I think you saw Georgia's offense sort of showed its limitations when it comes up against a big-time defense. I think Michigan has that big-time defense. The question probably flips to the other side of the ball. Can Michigan's offense sort of do what Alabama did to Georgia's defense? I think that's probably the real question in this game. If Georgia's defense can control Michigan's offense, Georgia will find points in this one. Where are you going? 7.5-point favorite for Georgia.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really entertaining game if you like to watch grinded out defensive football. This could be a 13-10, a 10-7. It's going to be close, and in that situation, I like the 7.5 for Michigan here. That's what I'm going to take. I think it's a little much for what's going to be a hard-fought game.
Yeah, I just went Georgia because I don't think Michigan's offense can sort of expose that Georgia's defense. And I think they'll sort of get enough points late to cover that spread. But I'm not totally confident in it. It wouldn't stun me if it was a game pretty much just like that Clemson-Georgia game that first week of the season where, it's basically one or two turnovers that is going to decide this game, and the offenses probably won't be able to do much of anything at all. So where are you going confidence-wise in this?
I've got 12 points on Michigan on this one.
Yeah, I got 8 on Georgia, so we aren't having much fun with our playoff ones here. All right, next up, the Outback Bowl. Penn State versus Arkansas. Penn State 2.5-point favorites in this one. I guess Penn State, I'm a little stunned they're favored in this one, but I think these two teams are pretty similar. Where are you leaning on this one?
I like Penn State here. Clifford's coming back for another year. Franklin stuck around, signed that extension. I'm going to go with Penn State minus the 2.
Yeah, I'm going to ride Arkansas here plus the 2.5. I mentioned I think these two teams are similar, but I just think Arkansas is sort of a little bit nudge better than Penn State doing what they do, So it'll probably be a real smash mouth type of game, though. I think I'm not sure how much scoring is going to go on in this one, but yeah, I'm riding Arkansas. Where are you going confidence-wise in this one?
I've got 27 points on Penn State. I really like Penn State.
Hey, we got a fun one to go head-to-head because I got 26 on Arkansas. So this will be a fun one to look at head-to-head for us at the end of the year. That probably also is the best matchup of the sort of big bowl games. I must say it was the one that I highlighted the most. I was curious how it was going to play out. Next up, the Fiesta Bowl, Oklahoma State versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame 2.5-point favorites here. Brian Kelly out of Notre Dame. They do just hire the defensive coordinator. The offensive coordinator sticks around. Where are you going, Oklahoma State, Notre Dame here?
I'm trying to find it on my list here. Why don't you go ahead?
I'm riding Oklahoma State here plus the 2.5. Basically Oklahoma State should have won that Big 12 championship game. If they knew how to get 2 yards 8 different times, they would have won the Baylor game. They had to play a bad first half, but honestly, I don't know how good Notre Dame really is. The one good team they basically played this year was Cincinnati, and they got beat up pretty good. So I'm riding Oklahoma State plus the 2.5. For me, where are you going with it?
So yeah, I have to. This is just why there's too many bowl games. I have to do a Where's Waldo search through my list, find specific games. But I like Notre Dame here plus or minus the 2.5. I just I don't think this is going to be a very pretty game. I think Oklahoma State plays good defense. Notre Dame plays good defense.
Oh, this is not going to. This would be the under. This is the opposite of the Washington State-Miami game here.
But I just think Oklahoma State's a little inconsistent. So I'm going to go with Notre Dame minus the 2.5.
Yeah. Where are you going confidence point-wise on this
I've got 30 points on Notre Dame.
Wow.
I think they're going to rally behind this new coach. I think he's really a player's guy, and they really like him.
Yeah. Well, we'll have some fun here with the Outback and Fiesta Bowl because I got 25 on Oklahoma State. So, big games right there. All right, next up, the Citrus Bowl. This is just disturbing that this is being played on New Year's Day. Iowa, Kentucky. I don't have much analysis for this one other than I think both these teams are terrible and they have pretty records. So it makes it seem like it's a much bigger game than it is. The only thing I thought when I saw this was I think this would be an entertaining basketball game if these two matched up. So Kentucky 2.5-point favorites. Which way are you leaning here?
I'm going to go with Kentucky minus the 2.5 in a game that I really don't want to watch.
Yeah. I went Iowa because they were getting points. That was my analysis. If Kentucky had been the one getting points, I would have taken them. So I'm just taking who was getting points. because it seemed like the safer maneuver. But I don't really know. Both teams' quarterbacks sort of suck. Their running games are okay, and their defenses are solid. It's basically a mirror image of each other. And I think their season's pretty much played out in a mirror image. Every time they stepped up and played someone good, they got murdered, and they found enough crappy teams on their schedule that they won enough games. Utah versus Ohio State. This one's an interesting one in the Rose Bowl here. Ohio State's 6.5-point favorites. Is Utah going to have enough defense here to slow down Ohio State and beating them up a little bit? It's interesting. They're very similar to Michigan. Can they do that same sort of thing, or is Ohio State just going to blow past them?
I like Ohio State to blow past them here. I don't think they're going to play poorly 2 games in a row, and Ohio State's going to win this one big.
Yeah, I highlighted Utah just because I thought the matchup was similar with Michigan, but it could definitely be, any which way. I could definitely see Ohio State just, running past Utah here. I didn't have many confidence points in this one. Where were your confidence points sitting in the road?
I've got a lot on Ohio State here. I've got 31 points on it.
Oh, my, you're heavy Ohio State love here. I only have 5 on Utah just because I think Utah might be able to smash them in the mouth, but I wasn't fully confident in that one very much at all. Sugar Bowl, Baylor versus Ole Miss. 1.5-point favorites here for Ole Miss. Which way are you leaning here in the Sugar Bowl here? This is probably as high as it'll get for Ole Miss. So this is a peak here. It might be as high as Baylor can get too. So 2 teams at probably their peak sort of potential here playing in the Sugar Bowl. Which way are you going with Ole Miss minus 1.5?
I'm going to go with the Baylor. I've got Baylor on minus 1.5. I'm not sure on that, but that's who I've got. I like Baylor. I think defensively they're going to make the plays needed against an Ole Miss team that doesn't take care of the ball very well.
Yeah, I'm going the same. I went Baylor as well. I just think they play a more complete style of football. I think they'll be a little bit more motivated in this game. But confidence point wise, I didn't have a ton. I only went 9 confidence points in this game. Where are you going in this one?
I've got 28 on Baylor,
Ooh,
so I really like Baylor.
You're a big Baylor Bears fan this year. All right, the last bowl game. Why this one's even being played, I don't know, but the Texas Bowl. I think both teams have a record number of people entering the transfer portal. I think Kansas State's whole backfield entered the transfer portal. I know LSU, there's a new name every week. LSU, Kansas State. Kansas State 1-point favorite. Where are we going here? LSU, Kansas State.
I'm taking Kansas State minus the 1. Just because I don't know who's going to play quarterback for LSU. I'm pretty sure all their quarterbacks are either graduating or transfer portable. So I'm going to go with Kansas State.
Yeah, I just went Kansas State because they might have more actual human beings on the field, but I'm not 100% sold either one. Really, even wants to play this bowl game. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Where are you going confidence points wise?
I've got quite a few on this. I've got 29 on Kansas State. Oh,
nice. I went 16. I did not go quite as high just because I don't know what's going on really with either team. All right, that was a mouthful. 43 games we went over and broke down with 43 confidence points being extrude over the whole list of games. We'll be back for a preview of the championship game and the results of our Bowl Pick'em show. And be sure, next week, I think we're going to try to do our first college basketball show and get that rolling on the college basketball season as Dynamite David has transitioned into college basketball mode. He's been attending UT basketball games. He's really got that third eye ready for college basketball season as they start to cancel college basketball games because of COVID. So right on time, as always, as we get into the college basketball season next week. One more college football show for football time in the national championship. Be sure to like and subscribe. That's our show, and we're out.
Greenlight Network presents Football Time.